A couple of days ago we got some news that I didn't necessarily expect. Prior to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, I think we knew that CD Projekt Red wanted to start development on the next Witcher game as soon as the game came out. But the launch of Cyberpunk turned out to be something of a dumpster fire, and while the state of the game speaks for itself, CD Projekt Red had a massive undertaking on their hands just trying to fix it to get it up to scratch, let alone get the game into a state that was promised to us prior to its launch. And so it just became seemingly taboo to even dare to ask about what's going on with the next Witcher game. I guess CD Projekt don't think so, as they have announced that in 2022 CD Projekt Red will begin parallel AAA development, as tweeted by the CD Projekt Red Investor Relations account. This presumably implies that the development on the next Witcher game will begin in 2022, alongside them still working on Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I don't know what to make of this, and it's hard to not judge CD Projekt Red by the state of Cyberpunk, but you definitely do have to think about it. Does that really seem possible? I mean, I don't know for sure what goes on inside CD Projekt Red, but by the sounds of it, prior to the release of Cyberpunk 2077, the developers were going through literal hell. Being crunched like mad bastards is mental. I suppose it's one thing when it pays off, but in the case of Cyberpunk I can't say that it did. And so it makes you question, how would parallel AAA development be possible? Is it fueled by the tears of CD Projekt Red's employees? There's got to be more to this. Cyberpunk 2077 is out now, for better or worse. I can't imagine it ever being the game that was promised, but there's a lot of underwhelming mediocre in the AAA market, especially when they were overhyped in marketing like Cyberpunk absolutely was for what we got. I think they did have loftier visions for it when they marketed it, but it just didn't pan out that way. Either way, the game's out now, the worst is done, and along with it the damage is done, but there's no looming release date anymore that causes crunch necessarily. They have all the time in the world now to get the game to where they want it to be. But it also appears as if changing the approach to making games is afoot within the company. As in a CD Projekt Group strategy update video, Adam Kaczynski stated that they want to continuously improve the working environment for every team member, also stating that they learned many things from the marketing of Cyberpunk 2077, and that in future marketing campaigns will be much shorter, waiting much closer to a game's launch before they start showing things like trailers, demos, and so on. This is sensible, as starting to market a game when it's near enough done rather than way before, I'd imagine will prevent companies from wanting to get a deadline out, wanting to get a release date, wanting to get people excited, and prevent setting up expectations that they don't know if they can hit or not yet and publishing those as if they're going to do it. I don't know if that's 100% going to be the case. I'd imagine it's possible, but please bear in mind that I've never worked at a games developer company or anything like that. I just love video games and I'm a massive idiot. Obviously we may still see teasers and announcements for far off projects, but nothing more substantial than that. I don't know if that defeats the point of keeping it as in-house as possible so that you don't have to worry about working a crowd. However, we do know for sure that parallel development will begin within the company from the start of 2022, which is heavily alluding to that being The Witcher. Meanwhile, their plans for 2021 is patches and updates for Cyberpunk, free DLC, and the next-gen update, alongside several Witcher things such as The Witcher Monster Slayer, which I'd imagine is Pokemon Go, but you murder the Pokemon, The Witcher 3 next-gen update, and further development of Gwent. So maybe with some of these things checked off by the end of the year, 2022's schedule may look a little bit more open for CD Projekt Red than we thought. Also announced on the 30th of March, they have opened a new studio in Vancouver, which of course means more human resources to draw from. Though I think it's fair to mention that this studio, previously named Digital Scrapes, was working on Cyberpunk 2077 before it was acquired by the company. So maybe it's not as concerning as it may at first seem, but after everything that went down with Cyberpunk, including the revelation of just how unfinished the game actually is, with some developers allegedly believing that the game wouldn't be ready until 2023, which puts it into some serious perspective. I believe one article a couple months ago said, don't quote me on it, I think a lot of the skepticism from people, especially in their responses to this, is justified. Either way, I think it's at least a very good thing that CD Projekt are going to be marketing their games a lot later on in the development cycle, because a huge mistake a lot of publishers have made, and it was certainly made with Cyberpunk, is marketing a game that they don't actually have yet, a game that they haven't made for the most part. Once the game's up to a standard where everything they want to market is there, that makes sense to then begin marketing. But to really figure out if CD Projekt have really learned from Cyberpunk, or if this is just PR corporate fluff, Only time will tell. Another question that's worth asking is, will Cyberpunk be in an acceptable state by 2022 for this parallel development to begin? I suppose that's not up to us, but as consumers it's worth asking, should all the resources available to CD Projekt Red really be divided so that they can begin work on the next game when they haven't even finished this one? Do we really see Cyberpunk improving that much in the remaining 9 months of this year? Maybe a miracle will happen, but I know better than to believe in miracles when talking about AAA video games. Like I said, for any outcomes to this stuff only time will tell, so maybe it's a case of waiting and seeing. And if the worst really comes to the worst, for a lot of people I'd imagine they're just not going to bother playing whatever CD Projekt Red wants to release next. And I reckon that sends as powerful a message as any. Furthermore, in that video that I will link, CD Projekt have stated that they want to improve the well-being of their employees, which I suppose will be something to keep an eye on, as that will be quite telling as to what they're doing with regards to everything else that they're talking about. And we might hear about that one on the go. But hey, you never know. Anyway, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments section. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends, and all that wonderful stuff. That would be super fantastic. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.